Hey guys, so I came fourth today at Gamers World Local, so I will be doing my own profile. Let's go. Thank you, Connor, for holding the camera. So I played Spright with a bit of spice, Adventure Spright today. So not a lot of people are playing this version because I think the Diva version is probably objectively better, but you'll see. So first of all, 1 Ronin, 3 Swap, 1 Ultra, 2 very scuffed commons. I used to have an ulti, but I sold it because it was hella money and I wasn't keeping it around for long. So very good card, mixed Toad, obviously. We got 3 blue, 3 jet. Search as a monster, search as a spell. For the most part, obviously, if you open up one of these, you're usually searching the other, and Jet, there's oftentimes a decision to be made in terms of what you're going to search for a spell. Sometimes you want to search smashers early, but other times it's actually better to keep a starter set for your next turn and so on. Along with that, I'm playing the red and the carrot. Carrot is quite good in terms of negating just kind of leftover branded around the place, so it's good to set this up and negate a branded fusion, or like threaten the negate of a branded fusion. Same thing with Spright Red as well. So
would you ever consider upping the count?
Upping the red count?
Yeah.
I would consider for red, right? But I think I'm trying to keep it as tight as possible. It is, I think, 41 cards. I need to double check, but yeah.
Sure.
And so then we've got the Spright power spells, which are smashers, 3 starter. Starter is a broken card. It's very annoying in time though, so you gotta play quick. You gotta play quick, otherwise you will burn yourself to death, which is very annoying. So, but I think, to be honest, the real MVP of the deck is probably blue for the most part, just because it gives you so much advantage.
Yeah.
Like, even sometimes you'll end open with Jet, I like normal summon Jet special blue, and from there you can kind of go off, and you can protect yourself from Nabe, because you're not immune from Nabe if you play stupidly. So it's good to get the red on board. And for something like, depending on what, like if you're afraid of Imperm, or if you feel like the person you're playing against is going to play Imperm, it's good to have Carrot as well. So so that is the Spright stuff. Then we've got the spicy adventure stuff. So we've got Griffin Rider, and we've got 3 ulti.
Very nice.
3 ulti water enchantress. Let's go. Unfortunately, no collector rares rights, but it would be very nice to get those. They're on the way. They're not on the way, but I will look to pick them up. Draco back and Faithful. So honestly, I think the entire MVP of the MVP of the entire deck is probably Draco back, paired with a Faithful, which always is stuck in my hand.
How many times?
About once or twice today, I think, but usually it's about every round. Enchantress is awesome as well. There's very little synergy in the deck, except for the fact that you can ditch Enchantress off to summon swap, which did come up quite a bit, and I did actually prioritize doing it a few times. But for the most part, Faithful sets up so much advantage that if they can't kill you can't kill you even under Dark Ruler and so on, you just keep going, because they're not going to prioritize Pop and Faithful most of the time.
Yeah,
which is quite good. And then Foolish as well. Sorry, Foolish is the final card for the Adventure Engine. And then we move on to hand traps. So I'm going with 2 DD Crow. Is that right? 1 second. It must be right, I guess. So 2 DD Crow, 1 Veiler, and then the Gamma package. Gamma is blowout. It's amazing. It's also level 2, which is really, really useful.
Did you ever consider playing E-Telly in the deck?
I tried it on Thursday. It just added 3 cards and didn't really add too much. To be honest, you've enough level 2s. But it is quite useful, I guess, to bait Ash and stuff, but for the most part, it's like the thing you're afraid of is Winda, and E-Telly generates a Winda, so.
Sure.
And then 3 Ash, and then 3 Imperm. So the 1 Veiler was because I was previously, and partially it's laziness, but it's also because I was partially playing the Celine and access code and stuff, but I moved on from that. So that's the hand trap lineup. There's some more hand traps in the what's it called?
Side deck.
In the side. Yeah, so then we've got some power cards, which is Prosperity, and main deck Dark Ruler.
Good.
Surprisingly, did not come up at all because I either one die roll, which is great, or it didn't really matter. I didn't want to use it because I wanted to kill them instead. It came up maybe once, but it's honestly not the thing that lets you win. It just kind of evens the playing field and maybe negates a Winda for a turn so that you can do stuff.
Sure.
Like it could literally be Droplet. It could be Chalice for all I care sometimes. But yeah, Prosperity is absolutely broken. Banishing for 6 is quite tricky sometimes, but it is very good. And it is possible. So then we go to extra deck and you see my lovely tokens. I bought adventure tokens, but they never came. So we got Toad, the one of really, really good. You can keep bringing him back with Spright Elf. 2 Gigantic. Then we've got kind of the other kind of rank 2 toolbox, I guess, which is Cat Shark to kill, Centauria to bounce Winda, and Zeus. I was playing the Onbimaru guy, which lets you banish Winda and stuff.
Yeah.
It's quite good, but I think it's more for like Dark Beckoning Beast more than anything else.
Yeah.
And then we've got our sort of, you'll see inside in a second. So we've got Entis and Omega. I actually hard made Omega today, which is really, really cool.
That's very funny.
And I hand looped someone for 1 card, and it was a really good card as well. So, and then we've got our kind of Link toolbox, I guess, which is Avermax. Unicorn never came up today, but it can come up and it's really good. But it's good to banish off Prosperity. IP, amazing. Hulk and Dark. So Avermax puts a lot of pressure on the board because it's really hard to get rid of.
Yeah.
Unless you literally, if you go Dark Ruler, obviously great, whatever. But like the only way this got removed today was because I lost against Drytron, and they stole it with Natasha. Which was, I mean, sure, like it can be stolen, but he was after droplets as well, and then 2 Splight Elf as well. So, one thing to mention is do not banish your second Splight Elf off of Prosperity. Try and find some other option if you can, because you will regret it straight away. So banishing 6 is usually pretty possible, unless like if you're in game 2, like you can usually get rid of one of these straight away.
Yeah.
And then if you're going first, it's like, okay, well I can maybe get rid of the Cat Shark or the Zeus or something. But you need to be sure what you're playing against, because sometimes it's very hard to beat over things without the Cat Shark. So it's quite tricky. But that is the extra deck. I don't know what I would change. I wanted to try out Gin Buster. There's one stage where it came up really, and it would have been really, really good. But for the most part, I think it's just a really tight extra deck. As you can imagine, my side is pretty much for going second, entirely for the most part. So 3 Ultimate Slayer.
How was this today?
This was really good. So the cool thing is, when someone makes up a big tournament board, you just go activate Ultimate Slayer, bounce your Winda, and then pop your whatever. Or usually bounce your Kaleido Heart and pop your other thing. Not your Winda, because you can't pop Winda. But it did
bounce your Winda.
But it did physically come up that I had Dark Ruler then this as well at the same time, which was insane. So yeah, but it comes up a lot, and with Omega, it never came up with Omega, but I didn't play it against any synchro decks. But if it does come up, it's like super good because you can recycle stuff as well. So then we play 2 Ghost Dugger for potential mirror stuff, and for the most part, the mirror is not really worth siding, except for obviously, I mean, D-Barrier or something might be good, but if you're going first, you're winning. If you're going second, you're just Dark Rulering them or Slayering them or whatever. It doesn't matter. You can do a million different things.
Yeah.
Then I got 3 Lightning Storm and a Cosmic for back row. Cosmic is for if you're going first and you think you're going to have a Mystic Mine, and it did come up, and I did out the thing that they put in before Mystic Mine, unfortunately. But Lightning Storm is quite good because it's like versatile. Alpha, the Master of Beasts.
Interesting.
2 of them. It outswings us straight away, even with the field spell, so that's why it's here. The other thing you can do is it puts a lot of pressure on the board because obviously it's not a quick effect, but at the same time it can bounce it and then just summon it straight back again. So, which I didn't realize for a long time. Then my final DD Crow in the side. That's my other hand trap. So I didn't mean 3 DD Crow because we're not filled with that many tier limits and that many Spright. So, and then my last 3 cards were cross out. If you can imagine, what I wanted to cross out the most was in fact a card I main decked, which is Dark Ruler. So I usually would keep in 1 Dark Ruler, get rid of the other 2. And depending on what the matchup was, either get rid of maybe 2 Ash Blossoms or something else like that, and put in these three, and so let me see. There'd be the three crossouts, cosmic, and that's probably it. Actually, to be honest, unless I felt like the game's going to be protracted, I might put this in as well.
Yeah.
But for the most part,
Especially going first, you probably don't want as many hand traps in the deck.
Yeah, at this kind of, but at the same time, because you set up a board and you're bound to get Dark Ruler because everyone's siding remaining Dark Ruler. Some hand traps are good. It's kind of, I think the adventure version's a bit mid range, which isn't the worst thing to be because you get Dark Rulered, and if you don't have a grind game, you're literally fucked. So, I think Fateful Adventure on its own gives you a grind game in this deck, so that when your Toad gets outed, which it will, you're fine. So that's kind of it. My matchups were, let me see. So my first matchup was Invoked Branded. Second matchup was, oh my god, what was it? I don't know. My third matchup was like Teardaments with Punks, which is quite tricky. They have a lot of gas, but I had a lot of negates, so that kind of came up. My fourth matchup. Oh man, I can't even remember. It's not even been that long, but I can't remember. My final matchup was Branded Predaplant. But generally, the way the games sort of go is, so I got Sphere moded against Teardaments, but I still had so much gas that I was able to win, because I'd negated so many things as well. I played against Sky Striker, that was one of them. Sky Striker, they have a really bad matchup against this deck, I have to be perfectly honest. Round 1 against the Branded Invoked, he Mischief of the Gnomes me, but I opened Starter, and it doesn't negate Spright Blue. And so I was able to get to, Carrot, and I was able to get to, or not Carrot, I was able to get to Red and some other one, so I had a monster negate, and then I was able to make, I think I was able to make Gigantic using a Link monster or something. But basically, Mischief of the Gnomes didn't do enough. I will be perfectly frank. I think even in the Diva version, it does less, because you can make the Ash Blossom or whatever. You can make anything to level 2, and even Enchantress with this deck, if it's in your hand, it becomes level 2, which is great, and it's a water, so it's even better. But for the most part, it was really tough. Branded Predaplant was, it's stressful because the players are so good, and even game 3 where it was firmly in my control, I still was stressed that I was going to get like board broke or something, even though the board was insane. But it's an interesting deck. I'm not sure if I would continue on with the adventure one, but at the same time, it's consistent in a way that there's always something to do each turn most of the time, or there's always something to search, and you just keep doing it. And you can leave Prosperity till the very last second unless you get negated or something. So you can do a lot. And then sometimes even when you go activate Prosperity, banish 3, your opponent will get so intimidated by the fact that you're only banishing 3, they're like, oh my god, this guy's hand must be cracked. And the answer is yes, it usually is. So for the most part, there's not much I would change. I think I'd like to try out the Dark Beckoning Beast version. I want to fit in the Codebreaker, Doomvirus, Swordsman, and based on other profiles where I've seen Deck Devi come up, I think Deck Devi might be a good blowout. Obviously not against Tournament, but just in general.
Yeah. You made that mistake in Swiss.
I made that mistake against you. Was it last week?
No, I think it was
Thursday?
against Luke.
No, I think that was online and on Duel Network. I made that mistake multiple times, mostly because I didn't have any side cards. But the only recommended side card that I think I would like to play is the crossouts are really good, but they're really annoying to dig for a lot of the time, and they never came up. I didn't see them a single time to out my own or to out Dark Ruler. And I think Solemn Judgment might be a bit more versatile. I felt like crossout was ultimate versatile, but you have to play so many different hand traps to make it be useful. And I think you're better off not playing any hand traps sometimes and just going with Judgment. 3 Judgment would be super, or even anti-spell. I mean, most of these decks are still on anti-spell, so why not? But that's it for me. Shout out to Connor for holding the camera steady as a rock. It seems I can see it's not moving at all. And to Luke Lennon, who's probably going to be doing the thumbnail for this video as well, and a few other people. I guess yeah, I didn't borrow cards, but they're also very expensive cards. You can see that I splashed the cash on this one a lot, so I'm gonna have to take it to euros, I guess. We'll just have to figure out what it looks like. But that's it from me. Thank you so much.